I'm Chris, and today we're going to be assembling the Dynacraft BMW i8 concept car. After about 35 minutes of assembly and a full charge, you'll be all set. Assembly of the BMW i8 should only be done by an adult, and children should not be allowed to handle small parts of the unassembled ride-on. Before we begin, you'll need a couple of tools. Grab a Phillips head screwdriver and a pair of pliers from your tool chest. Two 17mm box wrenches are included with the car. Scissors or a box cutter may also be helpful for removing packaging. Open the box and check that all parts are present. You can check against the list in the assembly manual. If any parts are missing or damaged, or if you have any trouble with the assembly, don't return to the store. Call Dynacraft at 1-800-288-1560. We strongly recommend reading the manual or watching this video all the way through before beginning. And you should read the entire owner's manual supplied with the BMW i8 before letting anyone ride it. This video is not a substitute for the manual, which contains very important information for the safe use of the ride-on. Okay, let's get started. Begin by turning the vehicle body upside down. Cut the zip ties that are holding the rear axle and steering column and set these parts aside. We're going to work on the front wheel assembly. Please note that the wheels are marked for left and right, so it's easy to tell which is which. For each side, you'll need two number 12 washers, a bushing, an M10 lock nut, an axle cap, and the wheel, of course. Start on one side. Remove any hardware that is already installed on the axle. Now, slide one number 12 washer onto the axle, followed by a bushing. The tabs on the bushing should be facing the washer we just installed. Next, place the wheel on the axle, matching the inside to the bushing you just installed. Slide the second washer onto the axle and then add the lock nut. Tighten the nut with your fingers and finish tightening with the included box wrench. Be careful not to over-tighten the nut. Stop when the thread starts to show on the outside of the nut. Spin the wheel. If it doesn't spin freely, loosen the nut a quarter turn and test it again. Now repeat these steps for the other side, making sure you use the correct wheel. Next, we're going to install the rear axle and wheels. For the right side drive wheel, you'll need the gearbox, one number 12 washer, an M10 lock nut, an axle cap, and the wheel. Remove all hardware from the axle. Notice that one side is longer than the other. Remember, we are installing the right side wheel, but we start by sliding the longer side of the axle through the left side of the car. Slide the washer onto the long side of the axle before installing it. After putting it in place, move to the right rear wheel. Slide the gearbox through the axle into the body. As it moves into place, be sure the motor and power wire are inserted into the car's body. Next, install the driving wheel, matching it up with the gearbox. Install the washer, followed by the lock nut. You will need to hold the axle with your pliers to keep it from spinning. Tighten the lock nut until the threads begin to show on the outside of the nut. You're done here. The left side rear wheel isn't powered, so installing it is the same as the front wheels, although you will need to use both included 17mm box wrenches to tighten the lock nut. After you have tightened the left wheel, remember to check to make sure that it spins freely. If it doesn't, just loosen the nut a quarter turn at a time until it does. Now that we've installed all four wheels, we need to check to make sure they have the correct gap. If there is a large gap between the outside of the wheel and the screw thread, pull the wheel off and add one or two number 12 washers to the inside of the wheel. Reinstall and retighten the wheel. Again, be careful not to over-tighten the lock nut. Give the wheel a little spin to make sure it moves smoothly and without wobbling. If there is any resistance or if the nut is pressing against the wheel, remove one washer. Repeat this check for all four. Now we're going to install the steering column. We need two number 10 washers, a split pin, and the column. Turn the car on its side and find the correct hole at the front. Place a washer over the straight end of the steering column, then slide the column through the hole until it's sticking out of the top. Next, insert the bent end of the steering column into the correct hole on the front axle linkage here. Place a washer over it and insert the split pin to hold the steering column in place. Now turn the vehicle upright. To install the windshield, fit the tabs into the slots and, starting at the front and working your way back, give a firm, steady push on each tab until you hear it click into place. Let's move on to the steering wheel. There is already a machine screw and nut installed. Remove them and set them aside. Slide the steering wheel over the steering column, making sure you line up the two holes. Now, slide the screw back through the hole, then reinstall the nut, tightening with your screwdriver. It's time to connect the battery. It's already installed, but the power connections are not hooked up. Simply plug the two white connectors together. Do the same for the red connectors. This piece is called a motor hood. Line up the two tabs with the two holes in the vehicle body and snap it into place. Make sure the wires fit through the slots on the side. To attach the seat, first make sure the lock knob is in the unlocked position. Start by moving the seat belts out of the way. Then, line up the tabs at the back of the seat with the matching slots in the vehicle body. Push the tabs into the slots and then press the seat bottom firmly into place. To finish, use a coin or flathead screwdriver to move the lock knob into the locked position. The mirrors are easy. Just lock them into place. We're almost done. Your BMW i8 comes with an MP3 port and the included cable plugs into the dashboard here. MP3 devices are not included. All that's left to do is juice up the battery. The input socket is right here. Make sure you only use the charger that came with the vehicle. It's very important to always let the battery charge all the way. Check the LED, and once it's green, you'll be ready to roll. Please refer to the manual for specific operations and appropriate environments, and make sure the rider takes it easy while he or she is getting a feel for the supercar. That's it for the assembly of the Dynacraft BMW i8 concept car. Remember, if you have any questions or problems during assembly, don't hesitate to call Dynacraft. Now it's time for your little guy or girl to head out and see what this Beamer can do. This video is for informational purposes only and does not replace the owner's manual supplied with the product. Please read the owner's manual for complete assembly instructions and important safety information. And remember, be safe.